All right, welcome back to the channel. Dazn and some promoters are going to make rumor that they're going to make a very, very risky call in allowing Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who has been suspended by the state of Nevada, to fight Daniel Jacobs in another state. That is very risky for the sport of boxing. Let me explain why in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel, subscribers. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. Also, I want to say special thank you to everybody that supports the channel in the live streams, also in the Patreon. Make sure you come by 8 a.m. Central Standard Time on Sunday to OG Boxing Talk with myself, Blood Boxing, KQKC Boxing, Trap House Boxing, and Kurt Anderson when we wrap up the week in boxing. And this will definitely be one of these topics that we discuss. All right, man. Dazn is playing a lot of games, man. I'm telling you, man. These guys take a lot of risks with the sport of boxing, and I know that I've been critical of Dazn. I began being critical of Dazn because of Eddie Hearn. Okay, I had, and I used to say that, you know, if it wasn't for Eddie Hearn, I don't have a problem with Dazn. That's changing because Dazn's management are doing things, or at least if this rumor is true, along with what happened this weekend, that is just disrespectful to the sport of boxing and endangers the sport of boxing. It will eventually tear at the quality of boxing, and also could eventually start creating problems, not right now, but down the road that could cause a lot of pushback from people that you don't want pushback from. Let me explain. There's something. First, here's the problem. There's three things that I've seen Dazn do, and I want to address all of them. Right. One is this, and from last to first, I'm gonna get to this last one. I'll get to the last one later. But it is the way that they're paying this money and taking away the incentive from fighters. Right. Fighters are no longer, or Dazn are no longer getting paid by the fight fans indirectly. They're getting paid by Dazn. So Dazn is making fights that they think are important, that they want to pay for outright, with no regard to the money that is actually being paid by fight fans. That's one. Two, the disrespect that they paid to actual boxing fans by making people that had already paid them their money wait in movie theaters. Because you gotta remember, Canelo Alvarez versus Sergey Kovalev, where it was telecast in movie theaters. There are people that got out of their house and went to movie theaters to watch it, and then when they got to the movie theater, they had to sit around in a movie theater thinking, hey man, what is this? If these people are introduced new to boxing and they think that's what boxing's about, they might not come back to the next thing that's set out in a theater. That terrible decision-making process of making fans wait for an MMA fight could have reverberations around other people's events because they were being selfish and stupid. But what they're doing, if this rumor is true, the worst of all of it is if they did this or they allowed this to happen on their channel, on their network, this is very dangerous. Because you will isolate yourself from politicians. And when you isolate yourself from politicians, you bring the actual existence in boxing in states under fire. If this is the problem, if Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. refuses a drug test in Nevada and they say you are suspended, the state of Nevada says you are suspended. You may not fight in the state. You may not box, right? And they mean to punish him and say that you are suspended. But the state, all they can do is suspend you in the state of Nevada. And say he goes to New York and they fight in New York and they apply for a lesson in New York. And for some reason, New York approves it. There is something, and he fights. There is something in the Constitution called the Full Faith and Credit Clause. Full Faith and Credit Clause. It is Article 5, Section 1 of the U.S. Constitution. And what it provides for is states to honor the laws and the rules, the decisions of one state in another. So if you get married in California and the state of California says that you are married and you move to New York will honor the decision of California in the state of New York. You do not have to get married in California, go to New York, and then New York not recognize your marriage and make you go through a marriage again so that you can so when you apply, pay your state taxes, that, you can file married, filing jointly on your taxes, right? You don't have to go when you move from one state to another. You don't have to apply for a new marriage license. Similarly, if you live in the state of New York and you have a driver's license and you get a ticket in in California, California is going to honor the driver's license of New York and say you don't have to. You're not driving without a license, because they will honor the New York license. There's also situations where people can practice professions and there's reciprocity, right? Where if you have a law degree, if you're on the bar for in Washington, D.C., and you have to try a case in Illinois will, I do believe they have reciprocity with DC. But if there's not reciprocity, that is acknowledged and known by the states between each other, because their laws and decisions are so different. But the purpose of that clause in the Constitution is to have there be mutual respect between states. That's the Full Faith and Credit Clause of the U.S. Constitution. You can look it up. Article 4, Section 1 of the U.S. Constitution. So this being the Nevada State Athletic Commission, that is a government decision saying Julio Cesar Chavez is suspended. If New York just goes on ahead and allows them to fight, that is pretty much New York spitting in the eye of Nevada. Now, it might happen that they're okay to do it, and some local politician, who's over it, because I doubt very much that's going to go to the level where the two governors are fighting with one another about it. You might be able to get some local politicians to do that. But it is for the fighting commissions, for the Nevada State Athletic Commission and the New York State Athletic Commission. That is clearly the New York State Athletic Commission spitting in the eye of the Nevada State Athletic Commission. And to ask the two to do that, it can cause tension between those two bodies. And you're going to have fighters that fight in New York and then fighters that fight in Nevada, where they live in one and fight in another. Well, what if they say, if you spit in my eye, well, hey, I'm gonna spit back in your eye. You have to, I'm not gonna honor whatever. It's just not a good decision. And it's something, from my understanding, that people have done. When you're suspended in one state, they honor it in other states. You also see, like, if you get your driver's license suspended in one state and you apply for another, they'll ask you, do you have a license suspended in any state? For the driver's license. If you have a license that's suspended in another state, then that other state's going to look at that and be like, no, we're not going to give you a new license because you're suspended in Indiana, right? And you're applying for one in Illinois. Not going to do it. And in fact, they don't encourage. They force you to, if you move a state, to give up your license in one state versus another. Now, they might have time limits in which you have to transfer to one to another. But look, man, that is the two states showing consideration for one another. So my thing with Dazn is, man, just look, man, you don't own the world, man. Okay, you got us watching fights meaningless fights between Canelo Alvarez and a drawn out over the hill Sergey Kovalev, in lieu of seeing Canelo Alvarez fight a Charlo or fight another, even a Triple G fight, because Canelo Alvarez, in order to get paid, if it wasn't for DAZN just footing the whole bill, would have to rely on fight fans' money to do that. But So, nah, man, I did a video earlier today about the decision-making process of the WBC. I'm going to make this about the decision-making process of Dazn. Now, if it winds up, and that's why I said it was a rumor, because I don't know if it's going to happen or not, that would just be the third leg of the issue with Dazn anyway. They're just not the best for boxing, man. And neither are some of these sanctioning bodies, but it is what it is. I talk about the politics of boxing because at the very least, if you say something about it and people recognize it and hear it, then it's on their mind and they know people are looking at it. And eventually it might, probably not, but might affect their decision-making processes. So anyway, it is what it is. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.